Hello everyone, welcome back to Spurs 9501, post-match analysis of Newcastle versus Tottenham. This is Cam in Florida.
Stam in Connecticut.
And Steve in London.
Oh, I'm glad that we're all back here. It's good to come back from the international break with a win. I think the last international break led to us having 3 losses. So it seems like everything Tottenham does comes in threes. They were saying 3 wins, 3 losses. Now we've had 3 wins. Hopefully not 3 losses. We've got 3 tough games coming up, so let's see how that goes. So before we start off, just as usual, we haven't got Ray here today, so I'm going to sort of like take over that role. I want to start off with the stats for this match. Interestingly, our possession was 64%, so it's good to see that we're pretty high up on the possession. We had 14 shots, 4 on target, as opposed to Newcastle, 7 shots and 1 of theirs on target. And 9 corners as opposed to their 2, and they committed 13 fouls and we committed 4. So overall, stats pretty much dictate how the game ended up. And I'll just start off with, let's talk about some of the positives. I mean, obviously, the Newcastle takeover is something we need to talk about, but let's talk about the first half first. Steve, so what did you think? 2 minutes in, bang, Newcastle, there we go. What was your view?
Well, I thought Newcastle were lucky to be playing Spurs. Because that's just so typical, isn't it? You know, it's a bit like the Harlem Globetrotters, and we weren't the Harlem Globetrotters. So I thought we were going to get. I think I wrote down 7 or 8 at that point, hoping we could keep it respectable, because their crowd sucked the ball into the net. But we could have avoided that. I'm not sure whose fault it was at the end. But no, we came back well, didn't we? And in quite difficult circumstances, because clearly the crowd was up for it. And it was an excellent first half in the end, other than some poor person in the crowd who was obviously taken ill, and they had to suspend the game for a while, which I thought may have disadvantaged us, really, because we were so on top at 2-1. It was good. I suppose in terms of the negatives, I think their goal was partly due to Romero, who was sort of waiting for the ball, I think, been a bit static. I thought Emerson Royal, I know Kamal, you've rated him. I'm not sure after this performance. I thought he was run ragged, really. He needed more help from Moira, and maybe Moira wasn't helping him quite as much on that side. But, another positive was Ndombele, wasn't it? That he actually scored a goal. I've been whinging on about the fact that we need to get Ndombele on the ball in the last third rather than the first third, so he can cause some trouble. And if he makes a mistake, it's not as serious. And he scored a lovely goal, unstoppable, I think. So that was great, and it was an early ball from Reguilón, I think, that did that. So you can't underestimate an early ball to upset a defending team, because they haven't got time to set, and sometimes we're too ponderous. And in that particular attack, we weren't. We then got Kane's goal, didn't we? Which was beautifully taken, but my first thought was that's offside. And I think probably without VAR, it would have been given offside. However, it wasn't, and hopefully Harry's up and running. Let's hope that's the case.
Jam, what about you? I mean, Steve's given us a good example. I haven't talked about Son's goal, which we can talk about later. But what did you think when the first 2 minutes we were completely overrun? And I also want you to talk about it all started from Ndombele giving the ball away in the final third from at their end, as you recall. And then they broke really fast. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you definitely think it was going to be one of those days with everything that Newcastle were going through and all the emotions in the stadium. They were up for it. Fortunately, their players, are not of the caliber that their fans want them to be. So we were kind of lucky with that. They're where they are in the table right now for a reason, and we have to take that into account. But other than that, we responded well. There's definitely been matches where we've lost to worst opposition. So I'm just happy that we reacted well. And Ndombele did give the ball away, but there was a lot going on after that. And they scored a really good goal. I think Romero was definitely at fault, most at fault for that one. But fair play to him. He played on Friday. Got back into London just yesterday and is playing and starting and played well, throughout the whole match. He definitely looked jet lagged or something. There was a few instances where his passes were off. He hit a simple pass and he went flying, but he grew into the game and defended well all throughout. I'm surprised you said that about Royal. I thought he played really well today. You know, he had a lot. He had a lot to deal with. Who was it? Jolinton on the left there. He was
and the other bloke, name I've forgotten, who's very
Maxim.
powerful. Yeah.
I mean, he had a lot to deal with, and he made a lot of good tackles, interceptions, and probably wasn't his best game as far as going forward, but he defended well, I thought. Good to see Ndombele back up in the pit, up at the top of the pitch where he really should be playing. The front four today were excellent. Harry Kane scoring, he definitely looked like he grew in confidence from there and was pinging passes all over the place and just beautiful passes. He's easily the best passer in the team. So we need that part of his game. Apart from his goal scoring, we also need him to dictate the play, make smart moves. There was a few times he just made beautiful, like no one else. Everyone else could see the space there, but no one else could execute the pass that Kane was executing. So it's good to see him up and running again. I think Son could have had a few more goals if he was off today. I think, as far as his easy tap in, it was a beautifully worked goal by the front four. Every single one of them was involved. Lucas's little step over there, like click the ball around the player and then play it first time into Kane's path. It was excellent. It was an excellent goal.
Great. I mean, well put, good analysis. I mean, the second half there wasn't really much to write home about. I think that the positive for me in the first half was, normally when we go behind like we do after 2 minutes, we tend to fall to pieces. And I felt that the first 10 minutes there was a bit of lethargy in the team. They didn't seem to be able to gel very well together. They weren't passing around together. It seemed a bit disinterested. And then suddenly, a slow build-up by about the 20th, 25th minute, I felt that they seemed to be getting a lot more possession and passing it around a bit better. And then, I mean, Mora had that pass, you probably remember, where he overhit it, went out on the other side, and you think, oh, God, it's going to be one of those days. But I think after that, getting that out of his system seemed to work quite well for us, because I think after that we dominated completely the first half, right up until basically not just the break, but the halftime whistle. And my only regret is that we didn't get more goals. And I think that, 3-1 against this team. The biggest problem here, guys, and it'll be interesting to talk about it, is Newcastle didn't have a defence, did they? They had nobody at the back. They didn't know what they were doing in midfield. When they brought on the hard man, Shelby, we know what happened with him. I mean, I must say, Shelby, if you are listening, please don't go to get a visa at the Saudi embassy, because you might not come out in one piece. After that performance, it's pretty bad. I was shocked at how bad Newcastle were, because it made us look so much better. Do you think that was part of the aspect there, Steve, that we looked better than that because of the weakness of the opposition?
I'm sure that's the case. I was just thinking about, when we played Watford and we won 1-0 with a lucky Son sort of it was a cross that went in, and Liverpool blew Watford away yesterday 5-0. What would Liverpool have done to that Newcastle team? I mean, that would have been 7 or 8-0, I reckon. Or Man City or Chelsea. We're not at that level yet. Having said that, it flattered them in the end, didn't it? 3-2. That would have been like us getting a second goal against Arsenal and only losing 3-2 against Arsenal, which I think we could have done because Mora may have hit the bar. So, but it didn't really. That scoreline didn't reflect the play. It could have been a lot worse for them. Although, of course, after the first 2 minutes, we thought it was going to be terrible. I mean, they're a poor team. There's no two ways about that. I don't know how many of those players will be there next season. I almost think none. I'm not sure. Yeah, I can't think of any of those players who would be there. I used to quite rate Shelby because I thought at least he could pass the ball and he'd dominate things. But he's got an attitude problem and he's got an injury issue as well, I think. But at one time Liverpool were going to build their team around him. That shows you what the potential they thought that he was going to have. When Rodgers was in charge at Liverpool, that's what they were going to do. But clearly they didn't, and times have moved on. But I just wish we could have got more goals and gone for their jugular.
Absolutely. I have to agree with that 100%. I mean, and that's something that we need to talk about in terms of our performance. Yes, 3 goals against a really poor Newcastle team, conceding 2. So we were -4. right now on where we are on 15 points, but now we're -3. I mean, our goals, that goal difference makes a very big difference.
Absolutely.
So, Jam, what do you think about the overall second half performance? Because I thought the second half, we really didn't look like we wanted to get another goal, did we?
Yeah, no, it was surprising that we didn't really. I mean, there's some skillful play here and there, but every time we got close to their box, we were like, all right, let's slow things down, turn it back around, control the ball, and it was pretty boring. Which, I mean, I can understand, post 80th minute where you want to calm the game down and don't want them to break, but we definitely should have scored 1 or 2 more goals, or at least it was like 2 or 3 times I can think of where we got right up to the edge of the box, but I think the mentality in the team is let's not attack just in case that attack doesn't work out. So because they're going to counter that attack. So let's everyone get back into position and be defensively sound, which I don't love. That's not the type of football I want to see played. No. But on the other hand of that, I mean, the first half we played there was some really great expansive football played, and I know it was just Newcastle, but it's good. It's confidence building, and it's good to see the players gelling a little more in attacks. I thought it was nice. There was this one moment in the game. I think it was after we were 2-1 up already. But, Newcastle started playing well, started building a little momentum up. And then Skip came in and just made this excellent tackle, this recovery tackle that just blew them all away. And from there, it brought everyone up. It looked like Højbjerg was more into the game after that. It looked like, the Reguilon played really well. I thought today we've given him a lot of stick over the last few matches.
No, he did. He did play well.
Mm-hmm. We need that. We need confidence in the team, and we can be better.
Okay, so just bringing Steve. Nuno didn't make any changes, I believe, during the whole match. I didn't see a sub come on. We're 3-0 up, 3-1 up at halftime, and then you're slowing the game down. This is not the Tottenham way, surely. Surely you would have thought this was an opportunity for players like Dele, who we all know about that horrific start to this season. Players like Brian Hill that need that time on the ball to come in and show us what they've got against this team. I mean, would you say this was actually really poor management tactics to not bring anybody on?
I'm not sure, actually, because if you've got a unit that's functioning, why play around with it? So I suppose he's vindicated on the basis that we did win the game. But you would have thought that would have been a good opportunity for Gil to have a good old run at a tiring defence, wouldn't you? Or even was Bergwijn on the bench as well? Coming back from a recurring injury, you thought this might be quite nice for him to have a go, and for us to go and get a goal, and maybe take someone like Son off, who's had to do a lot of travelling and running about. So I thought that might have been an opportunity there. But I think I wouldn't beat the manager up for this particular performance. There'll be plenty of opportunity to do that later in the season, I suspect.
But the thing is, though, Stephen, I'll push you on this. Jam, you come in, because I think that why, as Jam said earlier, it keeps slowing the game down. Ndombele, your favourite player today, got the ball outside the area and was always looking for a backward pass. We're 3-1 up. Surely you're going to think, you know what? I've got to get my goal difference up. We're serious about being in the top 6. Because look at the tightness of those points.
But, I mean, that's not just Nuno, is it? I mean, I think we've had that, don't hit the byline and get that ball into the danger area because anything can happen. We haven't done that for 10 years. I wish we would do that more often. But we don't. So I'm sorry. I know you're trying to push me to criticize the manager, but I wouldn't in this instance. In fact, I'm going to give him one piece of praise, is that for the first time in, I reckon, about 5 or 6 seasons, we look like we might score from a corner.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. I know that.
And Mora was very unlucky not to, he's not quite the smallest man on the pitch, but can jump like I've never seen. He should be doing the high jump or something, because he's phenomenal. And he was very unlucky not to get a goal. But we looked threatening at every corner. We haven't looked like that I can't remember. Probably when Gilzine was heading the ball on.
And it wasn't the same routine over and over again. They had different setups with the way they lined up to attack the corner. The corner wasn't just, the typical Eriksen not hitting,
Yeah.
not getting past the first man. We got long corners, we got short corners, and it was nice to see. It's different tactics are there.
I mean, first, so Kane hasn't scored in the Premier League. He scores today, which was a great goal, even though even he thought it was offside. And then he goes on for an assist, so he gets a goal and an assist. How would you rate his overall performance
today? I mean, I'll give him a good 7.5.
Is he back?
Goal, yeah. Is he back? I think he definitely had a little more spark in him after he got that goal. Like I said, there was some really, really nice passing from him today. And positionally, he was not just standing around the front. He was moving to the left and right, dropping down a little bit, interchanging with Ndombele's position, and it was good. It's good to see. It takes players away, defenders away, and it gives him space to actually receive the ball and pass it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's hopefully getting back to form. What I did note is once they scored that third goal, all four of them were hugging very happily together, and they looked, proud. Kane wasn't off by himself, being like, "Oh yeah, a little clap." He was smiling, big hug. Team spirit is back. Hopefully.
What's your take on the Kane situation, and Steve? Do you reckon that he's turned the corner?
Well, in terms of his performance today, I mean, the thing is, it's been a pretty low bar up until today. So I think we would have seen that as a fair performance last season, not something to, write home about, even though he obviously got a goal. But, you expect him to get a goal every other game, don't you, really? So, yeah, no, I don't think the old Kane is back. I wonder if he ever will be. I still think he's likely to go in the transfer window at Christmas anyway. But in the meantime, I want him to score as many goals as he can for us and to help us as best he can as well. But yeah, no, he had a much better game. But we were playing probably the worst team we've seen this season. I think they were worse than Watford, for example, who are down there.
I tend to agree with you, Steve. I don't think I've seen as bad a team that we've played this season in the Premier League, at least, and then we won 3-2. I have to come on to your best and your worst moment. I mean, in the game, and who you thought were the best players. We'll start off. Obviously, we haven't spoken about. I thought Dyer had a great game until that stupidity of that own goal. What about you, Jem? Who was your best performance player today, and who was your worst?
I mean, that's tough. A moment of the game was definitely Reguilon shouting out to stop the game and getting the attention of the officials for that bloke or whoever it was on the sideline, the crowd member. So that's, other than that, he played really well. So he's probably up there for one of the man of the match performances. I think he got 2 assists, if I'm not wrong. So good on him. Some good crosses, some good attacking play. And Ndombele was playing well today. I think he really frustrated the Newcastle players, just as you could see with the Shelby incident. Lucas Moura was excellent too. A lot of good attacking drives. I like seeing him play like that when he's confident. He's taking shots from outside the box. I mean, he obviously, first thing I've written down in my notes was that awful cross early on. But after that, he picked himself up and played well. And then Romero as well. I thought he was excellent. Other than he was sloppy to begin the match, but he defended so well. There was a couple moments he was just really smart positionally, really took up really smart positions, and then he would drive forward at times with the ball, which I thought was, something we've missed from a defender for a while. Like actually can take the ball out from defense and push up into midfield.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Steve, what do you say about what Jem said? Who's your best performer? Who was your worst moment?
Well, I think they all played pretty well, really. Other than the worst performer, I think was Emerson. I know that others disagree with that, but that's football. I thought he was inconsistent. I thought he looked tentative and nervous on the ball, and he got muscled out a number of times. So I would say maybe the jury's still out on him, but I'm not sure. What I will say is he's much better than Aurier, but then so are you, Kamal. In terms of the best, that's a difficult one actually, because you've already mentioned Moura and Ndombele obviously got a good goal, but I'm actually going to go for Skip because he did the unfussy stuff, the tidying up. He was always there. He was always keen, and he always wants the ball. So he goes towards the player to receive the ball. He's buzzing around. He's the sort of player other teams do not want to come up against because he's going to be at you all the time. So I'll give that to Skip, even though he may not have been as visible as some of the other players. And I will just touch on Dyer if I can as well. I feel sorry for Dyer. I don't know what else he could do there, because that was all about the delivery. When you put a ball into that position between the goalkeeper and the defenders who are facing the goal, the only other way to deal with that is not to have such a high line, which is to drop further deep. So I'm not sure what else he could have done under those circumstances. And 9 times out of 10, it would have gone wide or over, or hit someone before it got to him. I think he also saw it late. So yeah, I thought Dyer played well as well, to be honest.
I agree. I thought Dyer, up until then, had a very solid game, and then suddenly, this own goal out of nowhere was. What hurts us, I think, is the fact that if it was 5-2, which would probably been a better reflection, we would have all said, "Yep, okay, fair enough." But when the goal differences are so tight, and we sit there in a 3-2 situation, it's again needless pressure on the team. I agree with you, Steve, about Skip. I think that. Nuno's very lucky that he's got Skip in that team, and he's almost like a new player that's coming, because he's breathed fresh, new life into that midfield, and we can tell the difference when he didn't play against Arsenal, which I, to the life of me, even today, cannot understand why he didn't play against Arsenal.
I think he wasn't fully fit. I think he wasn't fully fit. Okay. Yeah.
But what I wanted to pick out was Højbjerg, because I thought that with Skip being where he is, gives Højbjerg the confidence to go forward a lot more and start being a bit more creative, which we never saw that side of him, because in the past he was just basically trying to do everything in front of that back four. And having someone like Skip there is actually now bringing out something new in Højbjerg, which is great to see. He got a goal against Villa. He got an assist today, I believe. And some of his passes.
For the Kane, I think it was his pass for the Kane goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And some of his work on the creative work is great to see, and long may that continue. And I think that we've got somebody there who can really develop into that Roy Keane type role, where he can get some goals, go forward, attack, and also defend, which is very rare to see in that kind of player. So I'd go for Højbjerg. Anyway, so great win. Obviously, 3 points is 3 points. That puts us level with Brighton in 4th place. Yeah, how happy can we be? We're level with Brighton.
I'll take that now, thank you.
I will take that, absolutely. Graham Potter, who?
Next game is West Ham. Then we have Manchester United. I believe we have Everton coming up after that. 3 very tough games. We do play in 3, and 3. What's your view about? West Ham beat Everton away today. It was a tough game. Very, very well played in that sense. But what's your take on what do you think is going to happen going forward, guys? Steve?
Oh, well, there's that old chant, isn't there, from fans which say, "Can we play you every week?" And that would be Newcastle. It's not going to be West Ham. West Ham are a completely different footballing challenge, as indeed will Everton be. But, West Ham, crikey, that's going to be a tough one. We'll have to be much more clinical than we were today. Because if we get chances, we're going to have to score, and they're going to be really, raring to go at us. And it's away. I think that's going to be a tricky game. If we get a draw out of that, I'll be very pleased, actually.
Okay. So, Jem, same question to you about West Ham, and I just want to add this thing onto the question. Would you play the same team? And if not, why not? And how would you change it against West Ham?
I think that's 100% our strongest team. So yeah, I would definitely start every single one of those players.
You wouldn't put Lo Celso in?
No. No. But I think there's something about Nuno who doesn't seem tactically astute. And when we come across West Ham, they're going to be a smart team. They're going to know how we're going to play, and they're going to be prepared for it. They have very good players in every position. Whereas Newcastle can't say the same. That was just 11 men out there playing football. And when it comes to, 11 versus 11, we have good football players, and we'll probably beat them most of the time. But when it comes to tactical nuances, Nuno has not shown that he can adapt and be smart. And no, it seems like he's constantly has the same game plan. We're going to be compact, and then we're going to counterattack. And the players seem to be learning that, but I think we need more than that. I think we need a little more intelligence, as far as instructions to individual players as to when to hold back, when to defend, who to mark, who to look after. And that's going to be telling in those next 3 matches. And I think if we get another 3 hard matches where Nuno doesn't prove that he can be a smart manager, that's going to be coming to an end of his time. You know, even after today, I would have taken a 1-0 win. But, you know, tactically, I don't want to keep bashing on Nuno all the time, but I haven't been this match hasn't given me any more confidence in him, unfortunately. So it's going to be telling. We'll see.
But on that note, what I'd like to just say, and you guys could pipe in. So Nuno's won 2 games in a row. He lost 3 in a row, albeit, right? We're 15 points now. I think, I don't know where we are in the table, but I know that we've risen quite high. We're level with Brighton. We're in 6th place. I think we're just, 4 points off the top, Cam?
I'm not sure. I'm going to check the table, yep.
4 points off the top. But we're still, there's a feeling there amongst us and other people that still something is just not sitting right. There's still something about the team that's just not gelling in the way that they're playing. So Steve, James raised the point. Tactically, he doesn't think Nuno's going to last. What's your view after seeing today's performance and the one against Newcastle?
Well, I mean, I don't think you should be sacking anyone at this stage of the season. I think you should always give them a season, to be honest, at least. Mm-hmm. And I thought they were going to let Mourinho go to the end of the season as well, but there you go. We'll see what happens. But no, I'm tactically, my view as well is players have to take responsibility as well. And I don't know why they didn't make a decision to go for it today, because that defence was so wide open. You know, what did Nuno say? Just, don't attack, don't try and score. I can't believe he said those things, you know. So I'm not sure what he's saying. So I think the players need to judge the situation. If you're on the pitch and the other team is behaving in a certain way, you adjust to that, don't you? Surely you don't need to be told all the time who's to do this and who's to do that. I mean, Kane took that bloody free kick again. If I'd have been any other player, I'd have said, "No, Harry, you're not going to take that.
Yeah,
I'm going to let Lloris come on."
Why isn't Son taking free kicks when he's on the field? He's got a great shot from far at the box.
So you make a good point there, Steve, about the second half. We're going to keep harping on about this, but I mean the big teams like Liverpool against Watford and the other teams, they show no mercy, do they?
That's
no
right.
mercy. They go for it. They know that goal because they're playing for something. They're playing for something which they know that every goal matters. Man United, I believe, lost the Premier League on goal difference against Manchester City. Yeah. Teams have got. I think we got into Europe once on goal difference. It matters. So the teams that are playing for something know that you've got to take the advantage when you get it. But why don't we have that mentality, Jan?
That's not in the dressing room. I can't really say. I have no idea. Why that is.
Is it fear? What do you think, Steve? Fear?
Well, I mean, it's a sort of an entire attitude, isn't it? It's a sort of almost like sorry, some people won't get the reference. It's Captain Mannering sort of, don't panic. We're ahead. Let's see if we can get through it. There's that sort of mentality there, isn't there? And it's a lack of confidence, isn't it? Because it's sort of, if we lose the ball, they're going to score. Well, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to score, and you might. And we know the fans want to see attacking football. They want to see a score. You know, the fact that this was only 3-2, it sort of leaves you feeling a bit, oh dear. It doesn't make you feel quite right when it could have been so much more and so much better.
But like I said, winning teams have this winning mentality. They know that this is where you've got to put them to the sword. So now Liverpool have gone ahead with a massive goal difference. I'll tell you exactly what it is now. I mean, Liverpool
16.
have a goal difference of 16.
Good grief.
Chelsea
at this stage of the season.
13, and Tottenham have a goal difference of -3. We're actually fifth in the table. We are the only team in the top 10 that has a minus goal difference.
Wow.
The only team in the top 10. And we've got the points. We're the only team as well, I believe, apart from Wolves, who have not drawn a match. So, we either win or we lose. We go one way so far. But the question here has got to be, guys, that the goal difference, it looks like it's going to make a big difference. There are 2 teams on 15 points. There are 3 teams on 14 points, and if Arsenal beat Crystal Palace tomorrow, they'll be on 13 points. So it's pretty. Even early days in the season, it's still pretty tight. What is wrong with our mentality that we just don't go for it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's madness, isn't it? And I mean, you've already pointed out the fact that we're 5th on goal difference to Brighton. At the end of the season, 4th and 5th could be significant in terms of which competition you play in Europe, couldn't it? It's that sort of we need to take a longer view, rather than just struggle through this one game, get over the line. I don't know whether I think the players have got to go for it. They've got to say, right, we're just going to try and get a goal now.
Yeah. Okay, so just let's wrap this up then. So would you, rating in terms of the performance today, rating it out of 10? Well, how would you give, what rating would you give the overall team rating, Jam?
I mean, it was a solid 8, you know. Players all were up for it.
Okay. Steve?
Well, I'm not quite as much, 7, I would say. You know, we've won, and it was a slightly above average performance for us.
I'm gonna be a bit more negative than you guys and give them a 6, because I feel that this was a game where we really had an opportunity to put them to the sword and bring stuff up. So enough about that game. Just a final point here. So I see the Saudis were out in full force at the Newcastle game.
Yeah.
Interesting to see a lot of the fans are wearing those headscarves and stuff.
Hearing me, yeah.
What's your view then? I mean, can Newcastle go down, or will they just buy their way out of the transfer window, Steve?
Well, they're going to throw money at it, aren't they? I would imagine the Saudis would have preferred to have bought a London club. I mean, if we're being brutal about it, I think they would have preferred that. I mean, we know Newcastle have to pay slightly over the odds for players, and they have to pay them slightly higher wages because the northeast of England isn't as attractive as a sort of metropolitan London. However, they do have a massive fan base. You know, if you live in Newcastle, you support Newcastle. You don't wonder whether or not I'm going to support Man United. You don't. You support Newcastle. That's just the way it is. So they have got that fan base. Well, I find the purchase a bit bizarre in some ways. But then the Saudis have got money to burn, haven't they? They can do whatever they like, really. I noticed, I don't know how true this is, that in the contract for sale, they had to insist that the retention of the Newcastle women's team was in that contract. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. And I suppose in most contracts, it wouldn't even be considered. You'd have to put it in there. It would just be, yes, we're going to have a women's team. So it leaves a bit of a distaste, I suppose. But then I probably felt the same about Abramovich at Arsenal, the Glaziers at Man United.
Glaziers what about Abu Dhabi at Manchester City, Qatar, PSG, and here we are stuck with Enik. So, Jan, question for you then. Obviously, you know, a lot of dirty money coming into the game. There seems to be no holds barred here. I know we get these false promises that they're not going to interfere in the footballing side of it. Is them throwing £500 million at players interfering in the footballing side? I mean, you know.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And of course they will, you know, there's no doubt about it. You know, we say, oh, Saudi Arabia doesn't actually own the club. And I mean, in America, we have this thing called the Federal Reserve. And imagine they like bought a club and we're like, oh, well, but the USA doesn't own it. The Federal Reserve owns it, you know. It's essentially what they've done. And it's kind of ludicrous that the Premier League and the FA and everyone involved in this allows that to happen. But, you know, money talks at the end of the day, and it's entertaining. You know, Newcastle are going to become a top team. We're all talking about it. We find it fun, and it will be. You know, 20 years from now, no one's going to say, "Oh yeah, but the money was dirty." They're going to be like, "Oh yeah, Newcastle just won their 10th Champions League medal, trophy." Good for the Newcastle fans is what I say. Good for them.
Next time we come on.
But that's the one thing. Isn't that racist? Yeah, no, I mean, isn't it though? If they were all in there and a Chinese owner had come in and bought the club and they were all wearing, little Chinese hats or whatever,
slitty eyes or something like that.
It would be considered racist.
I mean, I wouldn't overload it with stuff, but it did feel a bit Benny Hill 1970s, didn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's Newcastle, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. I guess we can all just sit back and laugh at them. But
racism, sexism, and all that, is it still probably in the 70s? Up north? I mean,
it was okay in the 70s. Yeah, you're right.
Right, guys. Well, good analysis. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you after the game. So, Cam here from Florida saying goodbye.
Cam in Connecticut.
And Steve from London. Goodbye.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you purples, or whatever colour we're wearing.